Alrighty. Well, first, I want to thank you all for taking time out of your busy days to attend this webinar with me. I'm excited to present today on managing complex source tracking in automation. Before we get started here, I want to introduce myself. My name is Ryan Morsey. I'm one of our team leads for our group of real estate transformation consultants. I've been at Northspyre working with real estate development teams like yours for almost 2 years now. Prior to Northspyre, I was actually in project management at a large commercial real estate firm, so I've seen firsthand the importance of understanding and accurately tracking and projecting your project's capital stack, as well as the utilization of those capital sources over a project's lifespan. That said, fear not, because Northspyre does have an all-in-one solution for your complex source tracking and automation needs that I'm excited to show you all here today. I do have a colleague with me here, Eileen.
Yeah, thanks for the intro, Ryan. And hi, everyone. I'm Eileen, and I've been at Northspyre for over 2 years now. But this past year, I've been working super closely with many developers with complex capital stacks, where I saw also firsthand all the intricacies and complexities of managing projects with many sources. So we really built this solution with that in mind, and I'm so excited to demo how Northspyre can make your job easier.
Thanks, Eileen. Before we do jump in to complex source tracking and automation, I do want to call out a couple of our upcoming July webinars. Our next one is actually tomorrow, Northspyre 101. Great entry to the system. Whether or not you're an active user, you're a current customer, prospective customer, those are always helpful. Maybe you learn, if you are advanced, learn a thing or two more. We have a full list up on the screen here, but I will call out July 9th, another 101. Slightly different, more centered around an anticipated cost report in the data inbox. Rounding out this month here with the July 23rd date, another 101. As you can see here, I'm calling out our 101s as they are very helpful. Producing a world-class draw package with ease. So definitely, if you are available, join those if you can. Another piece of Northspyre I do want to make sure I hit on here, for our current customers, I'm sure you already know this and you've seen this, but for any prospect or future customers here, Northspyre is all about our support to you, right? We obviously have our software platform, but another big piece of what we do here at Northspyre is actually support to you. So of course, if you sign on, you're a current customer, or for those future that are coming into Northspyre, you will be assigned a dedicated, what we call real estate transformation consultant. This will be your dedicated rep on your account. In addition to that, we actually have a technical concierge service who has an incredible response time. You can see 5 minutes is their average to actually get back. They're great for more technical questions, specifically about the software. And you have multiple ways to reach them. There's a chat bubble within the Northspyre software itself. They also have an email address that they're easy to reach. It's just concierge@northspyre.com. Either method will get you right to them. They all are in-house. They all work for Northspyre, and they're the same personnel that I go to if I have a technical question. So definitely utilize that. Rounding out here, we do have our Northspyre knowledge base. Think of this as kind of a wiki for all things Northspyre. It is a database populated with videos, screenshots, instructions, you name it, for all of our different tools there. So again, as you can see here, multiple different avenues of support that we're dedicated to giving you. So please do utilize those as needed. All right, quick agenda here. Right on the screen, not too complex here, but we do want to do a general overview of Northspyre sources and uses. And then we'll jump into some of our new tools in our complex capital management tool stack here. Automated source transactions, smart source transactions, and source projections. Some key outcomes, ideally you all walk out of here with an overall understanding of Northspyre's ability to track your project and portfolio, capital sources and uses, and then ultimately how to leverage Northspyre's new complex capital management tools to eliminate administrative tasks, manually creating and tracking source transactions. Ideally, you're walking away able to take a more data-driven approach to these source transactions. Lastly, better understanding your projects and project future source utilization moving forward here. Let's go ahead and jump right in. So kind of starting very high level. You'll hear Eileen, myself, your real estate transformation consultant, throw out the term sources and uses during this webinar in a weekly, bi-weekly meetings. So let's just make sure, starting off here, you understand fully what that means. So when we say sources, we're talking about your capital funding for your project, right? Two biggest of those being equity and debt. All right, that's what we mean by sources, capital funding. Then, of course, uses just mean transactions from those funding sources as the project progresses to cover costs, right? So, for example, an example of a use in this case would be drawing funds on your construction loan to fund your general contractor's payout. And then the last piece on here, I have sources overview. That's our main tool in Northspyre to actually track and manage both your sources and the uses. So what we have here, just one more last piece on that. At a high level, Northspyre has dedicated tools to seamlessly track and manage your capital stack of sources and uses, as well as transact on the funds you're drawing. In the past, we've always had a decent amount of functionality available in our sources overview, which hopefully, if you are an active customer, you've seen at this point. What we're mainly going to focus on today is some of our new tools that are available in our complex capital management add-on. All right. So rounding out at a high level, by allowing Northspyre to assist with the intricacies and burdens of complex capital projects, you as a developer can better empower your teams to meet targets, mitigate risk, and leverage crucial data insights to run your projects as effectively as possible. So one of those new tools we're going to hit on here today is our automated source transactions. This tool gives your team multiple solutions to more accurately and effortlessly track your source's total usage and balance remaining by directly invoicing against a source to ensure funds are properly and efficiently allocated to drive better and more predictable project outcomes. Prior to automated source transactions, developers may spend hours of their valuable time manually marking their source transactions and trying to manually track which invoices should be funded by which sources. That, of course, takes time and opens up the possibility of manual data entries as well. With this tool, your team is provided, again, with multiple options to track your source's total usage and balance remaining more accurately and even effortlessly. It allows direct invoicing against a source to ensure funds are allocated properly and efficiently, leading to improved and more predictable project outcomes, as I stated. Eileen, could you give us a little demo of this?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just jump right into a demo so that we can really conceptualize what Ryan just covered. So like Ryan mentioned, you can set up your budget lines so that invoices automatically draw against defined sources so that you can both ensure that funds are properly allocated and leverage granular budget line level reporting of your source allocations. So to set up your automated source transaction feature, simply navigate to your budget categorizations page, which is your utilities page for tracking all the budget lines on your project and defining categorization schemas and naming conventions. So when you go to edit or add a budget line, you can select which source invoices on this budget line will draw from by default. And once a funding source pairing is defined, all future incoming invoices on this budget line will automatically be assumed to draw from the selected source. And you can always edit this pairing at any time. So if I go into my data inbox, which is my landing page where I have complete oversight of all incoming costs, contracts, and documents, I can then review items like this invoice here before I accept it into my project and it impacts my project values. As you can see, this invoice has already automatically been associated with my funding source GP equity because its budget line had that defined association prior to it being sent. I have complete flexibility to edit this pairing both before and after I accept my invoice, but once I click accept, Northspyre will automatically log your source transactions so you always have an accurate representation of the source utilization at that point in time. So to view these source transactions, I can navigate now to my sources data index, where I have a comprehensive view of all the sources on my project, as well as their history of utilization as tracked by these source transactions. So for those automatically created transactions, we will bucket invoices in the same draw period associated with the same source into a single transaction so that you can drill down into each transaction to see the invoice breakdown. like so. And with the source utilization history automatically logged, you've now just cut out all of the hours of manual work typically needed to produce source utilization reports. So now I can go to my report builder, which is my playground for creating any combination of our many reports with different customizable options for each, where I can locate the source draw detail report built specifically for you to report on a budget line breakdown of costs versus source utilization in a given draw period for any of the sources on your project like GP Equity. And from here, I have robust reporting that's available right at your fingertips with minimal work. Now, let's say you either don't need such granular reporting or certain sources and budget lines won't have a default pairing. In this case, Northspyre does have a second approach to streamlining your source tracking, which I will let Ryan explain a bit more.
Thanks, Eileen. So we just covered automated source transactions. Now let's get into smart source transactions. This tool offers recommendations for how much should be allocated from each source to fund a draw period, so your team can spend less time on the administrative task of recording source transactions and more time on accurately and responsibly using these sources to achieve better outcomes on your current projects, but also better equip yourself to win deals and secure funding in the future. Prior to smart source transactions, developers may be making manual, gut-driven source utilization decisions based on manual calculations each period, which could lead to less accurate project outcomes, which of course hurts the team and the project, and it may even cause your partners to lose confidence in your abilities. With this tool, your team is provided guidance on allocating funds from each source for each draw period, reducing the administrative burden of manually calculating source transactions, which of course gives your team more time to focus on using these sources accurately and responsible, which is going to lead to, again, improved project outcomes on current and future projects, and even enhances your ability to competitively pursue future opportunities and secure that very sought-after funding. Eileen, could you show us how this works?
Absolutely. So as you can see, we really do make logging your source utilization just as easy with our smart source transaction feature. With this feature, you can define different buckets of source priorities, so Northspyre can do all the heavy lifting with calculating how to divvy up draws funded by multiple sources. So to start, I'll navigate to my sources overview page, which, like Ryan explained, provides a convenient summary of my sources and utilization compared to my funding request amounts from each draw. At the top of the page here, I can define a funding tranche order where I can bucket different sources together and define what order I will use my sources. For example, my first two sources here are in the first tranche or bucket, meaning they'll be used simultaneously before the second bucket, which will be used before the third. And when there's multiple sources in the same bucket, Northspyre will draw from each source in the tranche using their pro rata share of their tranche total. Now, scrolling to the bottom of my page, I have a clear summary of each draw period's requested funding amount and actual funded amount so that I can immediately identify if my source usage and costs are misaligned. In the case where Northspyre indicates that a draw has not been fully funded, I can easily log source transactions in a few clicks. So when I click to add a source transaction here, our smart source transaction feature allows Northspyre to smartly suggest the exact amount to be funded in a draw as divided across the earliest tranches of sources using the remaining to be funded amount and the pro rata share of each source in the tranche. Here, I simply just have to verify the numbers, or I can also quickly edit values and even define different percent breakdowns with no manual calculations. From here, I simply have to click save and add my source transactions in one go. And so now in one smooth move, I've just completely reconciled a draw's source utilization across multiple sources. And so now we've covered the two ways that Northspyre can streamline your source utilization tracking. But there's more. Northspyre's source tracking extends beyond just your actuals. We leverage your tranche orders and anticipated costs to project your source usage on your cash flow tool as well. Ryan, can you explain a bit more about our source projections?
Thanks, Eileen. This source projections tool automatically layers source data into the cash flow report, giving you a unified view of your sources and uses to not only see where you are today, but also monitor how sources are projected to fund budget lines through the end of your project. This, of course, allows you to better understand if sources are expected to run out, if so, when, and how much they will need additional so you can maintain the project standing and good relationships, even impress your financial partners. Of course, this is going to lead to a better chance at securing funding in the future, plus improves internal team tracking to ensure your project has the best and most profitable outcome possible for all. Prior to source projections, developers may have to make complex manual projections of their own to really guess if and when a source would run out and how much additional they would need to successfully fund the project costs. This could lead to inaccurate projections and risk damaging your relationship with financial partners. With this tool, your team can integrate source data seamlessly into the cash flow projections report, providing a consolidated view of your sources and uses, which enables you to not only assess your current financial status, but also monitor projections on how these sources will fund items throughout the project to provide insight into potential depletion timelines and, of course, the required additional amounts if needed. Eileen, could you show us this?
Definitely. So our source projections tool is housed in the cash flow page, where I'll navigate now. So Northspire's cash flow is your proactive tool where you can monitor projected costs by budget line, manipulate budget line dates and curve types, and produce month-by-month detailed reporting of future costs through the end of your project. So historically, Northspire's cash flow tool has been very focused on your project's uses, but we've taken it a step further. We know that understanding your sources as compared to your uses is valuable information to always stay one step ahead of your lenders, so you know when you should expect to transition between sources. So to overlay your sources on the cash flow, simply toggle to show source projections, where Northspyre will then calculate when each tranche of sources is projected to run out. So with the Complex Capital add-on, you can take advantage of the source projections feature to proactively monitor when you should expect to transition between sources and even identify early on if your costs are projected to exceed your funds. So on my project here, it looks like my last tranche ends before my project does, so I can drill down into this tranche to see at a glance exactly how many dollars I'm projected to be short on funding. We also include the source information in the detailed table view down here below, which breaks down your projected costs month by month for every single budget line. This cash flow is incredibly powerful because anytime your project values change or you manually adjust certain projected costs, the cash flow curve will automatically recalibrate so that your values are always accurate. Plus, you can download a comprehensive Excel report with the click of a button here. And really, that's it. So just like Ryan mentioned, the Northspire's advanced source tracking tools can take on your most laborious tasks so that your project management is as straightforward, quick, and repeatable as possible.
Sounds great, Eileen. All right. So we, of course, have reviewed everything that we set out to review here today. Automated source transactions, smart source transactions, source projections, and that high-level overview of how Northspyre handles sources and uses when it comes to your project. With that said, some next steps. Number one, of course, reach out to your dedicated real estate transformation consultant to get set up with our new managing complex source tracking and automation tools today. And just a great call out here is we actually do have a free trial for this add-on tool available for all of our current customers now. Just worth calling out is you do have to opt in to that free trial before July 31st. And that is a 45-day free trial. So do reach out to your dedicated real estate transformation consultants as soon as possible if these features and tools look like they'd be helpful to you, which I'm willing to bet that they will be. So thank you all so much for your time today. It was a pleasure, and we do appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll get you all on the complex capital management tool.